Hey, Chuck, there are two words I have used to fall in love with fitness, the gym. And I've even helped my clients with these two words. And again, the results have been amazing. Guess what they are?
Free beer.
No, no, Chuck.
Do you ever wonder, why do I always seem to give so much more than I get? All I want is to be appreciated and loved. Is that asking too much? Why do all the jerks get the hot girls while I get stuck in the friend zone? When will it ever be my turn? If this sounds like you, you're in the right place. Welcome to The Nice Guy Show. This is the podcast that asks the question, how do I break free from the nice guy syndrome so I never have to come in last again? Now here are your hosts, Faisal Coker and Chuck Chapman.
Hey guys, welcome to podcast episode number 13. We're going to talk about two words that will help you fall in love with exercise. And I have to admit, I'm super excited about this episode because I want to know what those words are. You know, as a nice guy and as a guy who sits behind his computer almost all day long, either, creating content or working with my clients or, all that miscellaneous stuff that we have to do in our business. So much of that's just done sitting in this chair that I oftentimes do not do very well when it comes to fitness and diet and those kind of things. And Faisal, I know you have actually done a lot of work around this, and as a result of that, I think it shows up in your body and your energy level and all those kind of things. And so I'm actually really excited to learn from you today what these two words are and how I can apply them, and how the other guys who are listening to this, how they can apply those two words to their lives as well, because maybe they're struggling with exercise or being able to find the motivation to get to the gym or just to get moving in life in general. So I'm excited about that. So share with us, Faisal, share with us maybe your story about where you came from and where you're at and how you've been able to sustain this level of energy and this level of commitment to your body.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chuck. As we're talking, I'm getting a cramp in my lower chest as well. Yeah, like, what is he talking?
Yeah,
so
you worked out too hard today.
So my background is I was born a techie, and I was born in a culture, right, where fitness and health and fitness isn't the norm, because people in hot countries don't really go out to do running or fitness stuff, right? So it's quite a sedentary life. It's very passive. So and that's what was around me as well. I used to, at school, I used to love cricket. I used to do a few things, but nothing like hardcore. And in my family, my dad wasn't into fitness, and I had one or two uncles who were into fitness, which was good. But when I was start going into teenage, I didn't really have any inspiring people around me who pushed me. And what happened was I really got into tech, and as I became into tech, I used to love sitting behind computer machines and be on the desk all day. Yeah. When I got into my marriage with my ex-wife, she came from a culture of a lot of outdoorsy. I'm indoorsy, she's outdoorsy, and there was a huge gap between us as well. So we would go out, and after an hour, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm done." She'd be like, "What? We're going out for like half a day or a day," and I'm like, what is it wrong with these people? Why do they keep walking all the time, right? So that was a real culture shock for me. And she can outdo me in a lot of activity and sports and swimming. And they used to live by the sea. They swim in the freezing cold. I'm like, what's wrong? I'm not going to go in this freezing cold weather. So I had a real negative attitude towards it. And only in my, I would say, late 30s, when after the divorce, after the breakup, I started getting to personal development. I said, I really have to get this part of my life handled. I hate the gym. I hate classes. I hate fitness. I hate strength training. Everything to do with fitness, I hated it. The only thing I kind of had some solace was like cycling. And it wouldn't be a lot. It would just be, just casual to the shops or something like that. But I used to be one of those guys who would start something and then not maintain it. Ever done that, Chuck?
Oh yeah,
right.
I
ever started a diet, not do it. Ever started a fitness, not do it. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Go all out, burn yourself out, and then forget it for months and months and months or years. Right. Yeah. that's a pattern I saw in myself, and that's a pattern I've seen in a lot of people as well, a lot of the guys I work with. So I said, there has to be a hack. There has to be a way around this. What is it? I started getting into habit building. And when I started getting into habit building, one of the habits I started to getting built was, cold showers.
Mm.
And there was 2 words I had ingrained in myself. Show up.
Mm.
That was it.
Show up.
I was like, show up. That was it. That was the 2 magic words, right? So I would go to the gym, right? And I'll tell myself, just show up, Faisal. Just show to the gym. Just go to the gym and just show up. And what would happen was I'd go to the gym. I remember I'd go to the gym, going through the turnstiles, and I showed up and I was like, I don't feel like doing it. I was like, my voice was, okay, no worries, but you showed up. And then I'd go home. And people were like, well, that's stupid. What's the point? And here's the point. I was building habit number 1. Habit number 1 wasn't about fitness. Well, it had to do nothing to do with that. Habit number 1 was showing up. And that's what I was trying to train my nervous system to do, was just show up at the gym. I was like, okay, I wanted to get my nervous system, I wanted to get my body used to this environment.
Yeah.
So I'd show up. Sometimes I'd have like a 2-minute workout, no workout. I'd just go there, go to the gym. But I kept on doing this 3-4 times a week. I said, if I just show up, just whatever you feel, just show up at the gym. And when you start showing up at the gym, then you're thinking, well, it won't be so bad if I just, did a workout. So I do like a 5-minute, 10-minute workout. And I had another rule around me. It was, I just show up at the gym, do a small workout, not push myself at this stage. The only time I was pushing myself was to show up at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to leave at a good note. I wanted to leave at a high in a way. I was like, okay, cool. I showed up at the gym. I don't have any negative associations with the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I just showed up and said, hey, listen, understand, compassion, you're just building one habit, showing up. Then I started to, you know what, let's have a workout. It won't be too bad. So I just kind of pushed myself 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And that compounded and had a lasting effect. So for 3-4 years, even when COVID wasn't here, I was just showing up in my front room. Mm-hmm. And my son said to me, he said, Dad, look at your weights. They're piddly. There's nothing. I can even lift them. And I said to him, you know what the hard work is? It's not the weights. It's showing up for the weights consistently.
Yeah.
And that was my secret. Just show up, show up, show up. And then once you've done that, then you amplify.
I love it. So just show up. So what you did then essentially was you just started creating a habit in your nervous system where you would go to the gym and you wouldn't even necessarily work out. That wasn't the point of it. It was just to go through the doors. And then as you walk through the doors, then that motivation to work out started to increase the more that you just showed up in the gym.
Yeah, because I wanted to prevent what I was doing before. I would go in the gym, spend a whole hour, work like crazy, right? Hour and a half. I'd hit burnout and then I'll stop, right? So I didn't have that consistency. A lot of people I see have that loop. I was like, how can I mentally hack this? How can I change the pattern? How can I do something different to what I did before?
Sure. No, I mean, I've done the same thing where I, would go to a gym, it's like January 1st, I'm going to the gym, right? And I'd sign up for the gym membership. I'd walk in there, on day 1 and I would work out like I did when I was, in high school or something, where I'm just working out, I got to get the burn in. And then, the next day I would feel like crap. And then I would say, well, okay, I'm not going to go to the gym today. I'm going to give my body a chance to rest, and then the next day, similar kind of thought of like, oh, I still feel a little achy. I'm not going to go today. And then real quickly, just not be showing up at all and paying for this gym membership, never using it. So Absolutely. I love that idea of just show up, just kind of go. And I think also the idea of not overdoing it, to, show up, go to the gym, walk through those doors and then do a light set of exercises, just to kind of get the momentum going. And as you start building that habit over and over again, then what happens is then you start to increase the frequency, the weights, and all of that. It just sort of sounds like it becomes more of kind of a natural progression as opposed to like this crushing mental determinism, willful, like I'm going to go and work out, because that's never worked for me.
Yeah, it didn't work for me either. I really detested the gym. I hated it. But now what I've noticed is here's a strange thing is this kind of principles I've seen, like going all in, full throttle or nothing, is you see that on when guys go with dating as well. They'll download all the dating apps, right? I'll go crazy on the dating apps. They'll burn out and they're like, oh my God, this is taking up way too much of my time, and then completely stop. And they'll have a burnout because they have no boundaries around this, right? And here's another thing. When we start habits, a lot of guys try to be a hero. You know what? I'm going to go to the gym 5-6 times a week, right? I'm going to do 1 hour, smash it, and then they fall off the cliff. Stop trying to be a hero. Stop trying to, it's that ego thing of like big, grandiose gestures. And guys do that with women as well. In dating and relationship, they do all these big, grand gestures, then nothing until the next time is a birthday or Christmas or something. They'll do this, what, I'm going to do really huge gestures for her. But what they don't realize is compounding effect. Right? Small things done frequently. That's what a woman wants. She doesn't want 5,000 flowers on this, on just Valentine's Day. She wants you to think about her throughout the time. Right? This is the same thing with the gym as well. You want to do the gym, even if it's 20 minutes. 20 minutes frequently, 3-4 times a week is better than doing 4-hour workout once a week or 4 hours. It doesn't work. It's like having a big crap just once a week. It doesn't work, right? You need to have it more often.
Right. Yeah, you want to evacuate consistently
Exactly.
so you don't get back up, right? Yeah. So what would you say to guys who maybe struggle with like things that come up in terms of like maybe body image issues or feeling like, they're, they want to lose weight before they go start working out, those kind of things, or feeling intimidated when you walk into the doors and you see all these buff guys that are like clanging and banging and you're over there and you're, with your dad bod and lifting, only a few pounds. What?
Yeah, it's a really good. Yeah, it's a really good question actually, because sometimes when you go in the gym, the guys are like 6 packs, and I'm like, I've got a bit of a beer belly. I've got a bit of a beer belly that I'm trying to get rid of. Like a dad belly. So I'm like, okay, so how can I work on this? And there's women in there lifting twice as heavy as weights as me. I'm going, this is so embarrassing, right? So what I would suggest is, again, don't try to be a hero. Show up. One of the best things that I've started to do, and I'm really doing more of this, walk. Right. I recently went to Japan, and I was amazed to see how little, right, there are obese people, how, like overweight people. Yeah. I hardly saw any overweight people.
If you did,
they were
probably
like
sumo wrestlers.
Yeah, probably sumo wrestlers or tourists. That was it. With the most, that was it. And they were flat. They hardly had any body fat on them. And I was like, how is this possible? And they're eating sometimes fried food. Okay, they have food is good. So I did some research on this, and then one of the things I found was, on average, Japanese people walk 18,000 steps. 18,000 a day, right? A day.
Wow.
That was
if
average.
I get in 1,000 on some days, right? I mean, just yeah.
I asked sometimes a day. I was like, wow. And they came up with the philosophy like 10,000 steps a day, and I can see why. Yeah. So one of the things, I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying that diet is where you need to really improve on if you want to start getting into like weight wise. The diet's the most important thing. What exercise did was to help you sustain that weight. So they did this experiment where they had these police officers, and they changed their diet. They all lost weight. The police officers that kept their exercise, like walking, gym, and everything, sustained, and they kept the weight off. And so what I suggest is like, guys, just go and walk. You know, there's guys I hear, nice guys sitting down. I said, so when was the last time you went out the house? Well, it's been about 2 days ago. The fuck, you spent the whole day or 2 or 3 days in your house
inside,
behind a computer machine. That isn't acceptable. We as men weren't built for this. Yeah, we're not built for this. You know, if you've not done 2-3 walks a day, I go crazy. I need to get out.
Yeah. And I like what you're saying earlier about building, you know, small habits. James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, talks about that quite a bit, where you do something small and the compound effect then starts to, so if you were to, you know, take a 10-minute walk every day for the next year, that compounded cumulative effect is going to increase, you know, your overall fitness more so than if you didn't walk 10 minutes every day. And so just doing something small consistently can create those big results. And I think the same is true for our fitness level. And I mean, it works the opposite as well, right? You know, if I eat an extra cookie or I eat an extra, I guess what you guys call them, crisps.
Crisp fries.
No, crisp for the fries. Crisp for the fries. What do you biscuits? You call them biscuits.
Biscuits, yeah.
Oh,
I love biscuits.
You love the biscuits.
Oh, you know, I love. So I did a 3-day water fast not long ago, and I highly recommend this to a lot of people. But please get obviously medical advice on this, right? I did a 3-day water fast, and I was shocked to realize how much I'm an emotional eater, right? I eat and I realized how sad and lonely I felt when I couldn't eat. I was like, I'm missing food. And after 3 days, I had this huge emptiness feeling, like a big void. I was like, life without food, there's no meaning. Right. So it was amazing just to realize how much we comfort eat, you know, and I do love food. Do you? Right. What's your favorite food?
Oh, food. Pizza is my favorite food, you know, but the thing is also I find is that it's a habit, right? I start forming these habits around, you know, like having us, you know, eating after 8 p.m., you know, having that snack, you know, you say they're watching television and, you know, there's this overwhelming sense of like, it's even hard to pay attention to what's going on to the, you know, in the show, if I don't have something that I'm sort of like feeding into my mouth and I start thinking about the food and what I want to have to eat and those kind of things. And it just becomes overwhelming. It's almost like you know, I'm not really present enjoying whatever I'm doing if I'm not eating. And so much of just culturally, you know, we do things around food. There's such a, you know, when you go on a date, what do? You go to a restaurant, you know, it's all about food. When you have people over, what do? You eat, you know, so there's so much about
snacks and food.
And there's generally like something, you know, sitting right there where you can go grab something and grab a handful of, you know, M&Ms or something. And then you don't even realize you're eating them.
That's the thing. I mean, like, so when you talked about like window of eating, I try to keep my window as much as I can to 8 hours. So 16 hours, I'll try to. I still have some bad habits. I'm still working on those bad habits. I know that I have to be more patient and iron them out. You know, I snacked way too much. One of the things I actively do is not try to put shit in the house. You know, like bad food. If I have bad food in the house,
you have it in the house, so it's easier.
If there's some biscuits that are danger zone, right? If they're in the house, those packet is gone. You know, if there's sometimes sweets or chocolates, things like that, they're gone. So what I do, I remember my partner, she brought this big fuck off bottle, like glass of like Nutella. I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
She's like, it was on sale. It was a really good price. Do you know what I did? I picked it up, put it straight in the bin, and she's like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, hey, it's either going to go on me or it goes in the bin, right? It goes in the trash. I'd rather it goes in the trash than it goes on my love handles. I worked very hard trying to get rid of these love handles. They're slowly going, I don't need any more. So a lot of times it's about stepping into masculine energy and having boundaries, because
Mm-hmm.
exercise, health, all of these things are all about boundaries, like drawing a line, following the principles. This is all masculine energy. So the more feminine
Mm-hmm.
energy you have, the more you'll struggle with food, diet, everything else. The more masculine energy you have, I would say it's still a challenge, but it just
Mm-hmm.
has some more
Mm-hmm.
principles around this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. My wife is an amazing cook and an amazing chisel
Oh,
at baking, and she makes the absolute best chocolate chip oatmeal cookies, biscuits
biscuits.
that you could like they're just ecstasy in your mouth. Um, and I'll be working out. I'll be on this this good pace where I'm losing weight, and I come home and she's like made a batch of these cookies, and I was the same way. It's like, what are you doing? You're killing me here.
Straight in the bin, Chuck. Just stick it in the
Straight in the
stick it in the
bin.
trash.
I would love to see how that went over with her if I just like the next time those cookies just go straight in the bin. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see.
it. It's like the trash or on
Yeah.
me. I'm like,
The
okay,
trash
am I,
on me.
I've done that a few times. I'm like, okay, it's not, why have you brought, like my son might bring something back, like, why have you brought this? Well,
Yeah.
like for example, when it's Christmas time or it's Easter,
Mhm.
and they have so many Easter eggs, right?
Yeah.
When they go to sleep, I grab them, put them in the trash.
Yeah.
What happened? I don't know.
What happened?
He probably,
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I started just blaming it was your brother who had them. No, it wasn't. It's probably you who had them.
Yeah.
I just blame them.
Yeah.
So
The Easter Bunny came back and took all your candy.
yeah, exactly. That's it. So small habits. So here's a summary of, I would say, look, gentlemen, I know it's a struggle. It's a struggle for many because, there are food companies, everything that they're trying to get you to addicted to crap. There's a lot of crap. There's a lot of crap. So we're fighting against that, scientists who are working on like exploiting our brain, right? Trying to become more passive. So let's go back to what we were built for. Men, we walked for days, hours and hours every single day, right? You don't have to go in the gym. You don't have to go and do all of this, but just get moving,
walking.
right?
Just move.
Yeah. Just move. Get accountable buddies. Get people who are there. If you want to hang around, if you want to get into shape, hang around people who are into this.
Sure.
That's why this is what I did. Was my son really got into kickboxing. I took him to a kickboxing place and I took him there, and I thought, well, why don't I do something? So I started getting into boxing, and I didn't want to go to his gym because I kind of felt shame and intimidated. I'm like, okay, I'm a lot older than some of these guys. I'm way slower than these people. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to feel really stupid. So what I did was I hired myself a boxing coach.
Cool.
And I thought, you know what, I can get a 1-to-1 session, and I just do half an hour with him once a week. And I did this just once a week or once every other week. I started off slowly, and I said to him, look, I don't know how to box. I've never done it before. Start with the basics. And I slowly, and he was like, okay, you know what, before we do anything else, we'll just teach the basics. And he started teaching me the basics. And then slowly did we start to add a bit more power. As my form was getting better, we started to add more power, more speed. And now what I've done is, after like 6 months of this, 8 months of this, I said, you know what, let's add another day to this. So like twice a week, now I'm going to this, and I'm like, okay, this feels good. And I heard a podcast where this expert in health and fitness, he says something really interesting. He said, when you're overweight, right? I'm just paraphrasing here, so this might not be accurate, but he said when you're overweight and you haven't done a lot of fitness, you won't get that dopamine rush. Like after runners, when runners say, "Oh my, that feels so," the runner's high. He says you won't get that for sometimes. When you start getting into it and you start building a habit, then it'll come. And I didn't used to really get this from boxing for a while, but when I started to do this more often, now I'm getting the high, and I get this high when I've done some strength training. So important for men, and I feel like, oh, that feels really good. And I do it in the morning, and sometimes I'm like, I want to go again, so I'll go in the evening sometimes.
That's awesome.
So lazy nice guy's guide to becoming, getting fit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just show up.
Just show up and do one little thing and start compounding on that. So creating that small habit, whether it's just, showing up to the gym or going for a walk, or, not putting that biscuit in your mouth. Just
Yum.
show up.
And this also applies to dating as well. Guys, if you want to meet girls, you want to go out, just show up. Show up in the dating apps. Show up, to so many different events. Guys are like, how many single events have you been to? About 3 in the last 2-3 years. I'm like, no wonder you're not socializing. You can't have a social life if you're not showing up. So just show up.
Yep.
So Chuck.
Faisal.
So speaking of weight and health and fitness, I reckon we should have a pretty, edgy topic for the next one. The next one, I've got something that a lot of guys have approached me and asked, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have, right? What happens, right, if you're in a relationship and she starts putting on weight, right, and you're no longer attracted to her? What do we do?
What do we do for that? That's a great topic. I think lots of guys, especially guys that have been in long-term relationships, all of a sudden she's putting on a little bit of weight here and there. Maybe you have a child or something, and that the weight that she puts on during that childbirth or during that time, she doesn't take off, and it just starts to accumulate. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, you're not attracted to her because she doesn't look the same as she did when you first married her. Right. And I think it's something that a lot of us struggle with. How do you communicate that to your partner? How do you deal with that on your own? And what are some strategies to be able to navigate through those places in our relationships when we don't feel attracted to our partners? So that's a great topic for next one. So guys, be sure to tune in for our next conversation. We're going to talk about what do you do when she puts on weight and she asks the question, does this dress make my butt look fat? And you want to say, no, your butt's just fat. That's bad advice. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, but just check out the episode.
Check out the episode. We'll have better advice than that. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Nice Guy Show.
You've been listening to The Nice Guy Show, the podcast that helps nice guys move past their insecurities and fears into the fullness of their masculine strength and confidence. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast and check out the website niceguyshow.com for more information on how to connect with Chuck and Faisal. Until next time, keep living your best life.